Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now, as you can tell from the title of this video, it's a bit of a heavy topic, so if anything to do with eating disorders triggers you, then maybe don't watch this video because it won't be the best. It won't be for everyone. If you've watched my fitness journey video, it was a very long video and buried right in the middle, I sort of dropped the bombshell that I suffered with an eating disorder, specifically bulimia. Now that's the first real time I've spoken about it publicly, and I was blown away by the amount of people on my channel who watch my videos who've also suffered from eating disorders in some way, male and female. Seeing as it's Mental Health Awareness Day on Saturday the 10th of October, I thought maybe I should make a video to do with bulimia. Now, as I said, it's not something that I really had spoken, well, I hadn't spoken about it at all until a few weeks ago on my friend Hayley's podcast. It's called Conversation Time, and she has suffered with an eating disorder, as had I. It just sort of came naturally in the podcast, and then a few weeks after that, I mentioned it in my fitness journey video, and so now I just want to make a video in its own right, just to, you know, stick my head out of the, what do they call it, out of the trenches a bit and be like, you know what? Yeah, I have had an eating disorder and it's not something that I'm ashamed of. I mean, it is at the same time, but I'm trying to work on it not being shameful. And part of that is by being honest about it online. So from my teenage years onwards, my relationship with food has been quite complicated, mainly surrounding binging and just eating far more than I need. I used to frequently eat to the point of feeling sick and feeling ill, and that to me was the feeling of being full. To most people, a feeling of being full, and certainly now, my feeling of being full is just, you know, you feel content, you've had enough food, that's it. That to me wasn't enough. I would always push it to the extent where I needed to feel physically sick. Not quite sick, but feel like, you know how you feel on Christmas Day? That sort of thing on a regular basis. And that is how I gained lots of weight. I just had an insatiable appetite most of the time and ate all the wrong foods and gained loads of weight. Then when I went to university in 2012, that was the first time where I forcibly made myself sick. I don't really know where it came from. I have had counselling to do with it in the past, and at the time I sort of worked through some of the reasons why I might have been doing it to myself. Some reasons battered around during those sessions were to regain control of my life. I felt like my life was sort of going out of control. I was really upset that I didn't get into the drama school course that I wanted to get into. I was moving out of home for, not the first time, but like I was moving to a new part of London by myself. My dog had just died. All of these things had happened and I just felt really out of control, and apparently bulimia can be a thing of trying to regain control of your life in some way. If you can't control your circumstances, you can control what you put into your body and what you put out of your body. Another reason in some small way was aesthetics and body weight issues and body image issues, that I knew that, oh, I can eat as many calories as I want and I won't put on weight because I'm gonna throw it up after eating it, and that way I get the best of both worlds. I get to eat what I want and lose weight. Although I have to say that wasn't at the forefront of my mind. I honestly didn't know why I was doing it. It felt a bit like a drug. I didn't really know why I was doing it. I just knew I liked the feeling of making myself sick, and the result of it was that I got very, very skinny. I mean, this is what I looked like sort of at the peak of bulimia, and I was like, oh, this works as a weight loss strategy. But yeah, as I said, that wasn't at the forefront of my mind. I somehow got addicted to that cycle, and maybe it was to sort of regain some control over my life. I don't know. I think I probably started in about September 2012, and then I think I sort of stopped into 2013, maybe like April or May 2013. And then I think I did it once more in 2018, so that was only a couple of years ago, but it was a complete one-off and I haven't done it apart from that. If you can hear some noise in the background, it's because Ava is chewing her toy, by the way. Because it only affected me for a very short period of time, for a matter of months, not a matter of years, unless you count the 2018 little relapse, I never really regarded it as bulimia. I would never say the word bulimia. I felt like I would just say to people, oh, well, not that I told anyone, but when I would tell close friends and family, I'd say, oh, I had an issue with like binge eating food and then throwing it up, and they'd be like, what, bulimia? And I'd be like, no, just throwing it up after eating. They're like, yeah, that's bulimia. But I felt weird giving it a label because I felt almost in a way that it was disrespectful to people who, in my eyes, were genuine bulimia sufferers because they had been battling it for years, because they had much more extreme results, because they couldn't quit no matter what they tried. And I felt like, how who am I to say that I'm suffering with bulimia when it was a few months and, you know, I luckily didn't have many side effects. But I've since learned that, you know, eating disorders come in all different sizes and shapes. They affect all kinds of different people and they last different lengths of time. And, you know, the scary thing is that it could happen to me again in the future. Potentially. It's something that I've always now got to live with, and it is something that crosses my mind occasionally, and I have to take control of that and be like, no, I'm not going to do that. So now I do call it for what it is, and that's bulimia. Part of also being embarrassed as well is that I'm a boy, and there aren't many men that speak out about their eating disorders. Although recently, I think it was Freddie Flintoff that made a documentary, which I need to watch, about how he suffered with bulimia while he was a famous cricketer. I mean, he still is, isn't he? I don't know, I don't watch cricket. But I need to watch that documentary because I'm like, that is huge that a male athlete is saying that he struggled with an eating disorder, and there's lots of stigma around it. I think people are used to girls or women having eating disorders and being like, oh, it's sad, but yeah, it's normal. Like, for lots of women, that's normal. A, it's not normal, and secondly, men suffer with it just like women do. So there may be smaller numbers, but I reckon they're rising. I don't know, I haven't looked at any research. I'd be really interested to know, but I think with the effects of sort of the body image being portrayed by the media as being normal, which is hairless and muscly, I think more guys are probably suffering with it now than there were 20 years ago. But don't quote me on it. So anyway, it was a really tough time in my life, and at the same time it wasn't. I was so used to it, it was so normal to me. I'd go out for dinner with my friends. Like, I remember being in Nando's with a group of my friends, I think it was around Christmas, and we just had a nice meal, and as soon as I'd eaten the last bit of food, I went to the loo and was knelt in the toilets, in the public toilets, kneeling on the floor with my hand down my throat, making myself throw up all of the Nando's, and then just walking back downstairs as if nothing had happened. And that was normal to me. That didn't really strike me as weird until it did. Until I think it was actually that occasion where I was like, what am I doing? Like, I've literally come out for a meal with my friends, now going to a public bathroom, I'm kneeling on the floor, which is disgusting. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing, basically? But I also remember at that moment, because I've struggled with my weight, I've always been trying to lose weight in some way, and I've done it successfully now, and I'm really happy that that's the case. But now the whole thing is trying to maintain and grow muscle. But for the longest time, I was just trying to lose fat, and naturally with my friends, it came up all the time, me being like, oh, I'm so fat, oh, I shouldn't have eaten this, I've eaten too much, and you know, just like you do. And I remember quite often people would joke, being like, oh, you should just make yourself throw up. And I just remember being like, do they know? Did they just say that because, do they actually know, or are they just saying it? And I've learned that people use bulimia as a joke all the time. I've had close friends, I've had family members make jokes about, oh, you should just make yourself throw up, or I can't remember in what context, but people make jokes all the time like, oh, just stick your fingers down the throat and then you'll be fine, which I never thought about before, and I probably would have made those jokes myself before I suffered with it. And now I'm so aware of it that I'm like, that's not a laughing matter. Like, as someone who has suffered with it, that's not, I really don't like those jokes. It's one of those things that I just really just don't enjoy those jokes, because yeah, that is a very simple solution. And that's why it's dangerous, because it is so easy to do. You don't really need any more encouragement, even if it's banter. You don't need any more encouragement from friends to like, why don't you just make yourself sick? Because yeah, it's not really funny. Anyway, as I said, I had counselling for it. I was seeing someone on a regular basis to sort of chat through it and try and get to the bottom of it. And I honestly can't remember how I got out of that cycle, which is really annoying because I really want to help people with it and say, this is my story and this is how I did it. But I honestly can't give you a reason why. And as someone with a faith myself, as a Christian guy, I do think that it was God. I think that there is a higher reason for it, because I can't explain it. And I definitely don't feel like I have the willpower to conquer something like that. So for me, the only explanation, and I know I prayed about it a lot, I know my friends and family members prayed about it a lot, the only thing that I can explain is that it was a God thing and not a me thing. So I'm sorry if anyone's clicked on this video looking for tips and advice on that. I guess this video isn't going to be that, because I just don't really know how it happened. But what I do know is that it is still a struggle and it is still a battle. As I said, in 2018, I remember the day Leah is a girl who I share another YouTube channel with, my main YouTube channel, so if you want to check that channel out, go do that. It's called Joel and Leah. I'm sure most of you already know and subscribe. We were invited to a food market, a food festival, and one of the perks of our job of being influencers is that we often get invited to places for free and get free food, free drink, stuff like that, which is amazing. But it's also sometimes not the best, because at this food festival we were given unlimited tokens. I mean, each token was like £3 or something. We were given like unlimited tokens to go and spend on food and drink and vlog the whole experience. Amazing. I'm not complaining about it, it was great. But I went mental, and that's one thing that I still struggle with, is the binging. I think I had dealt with the purging side of things very well. I don't know how, as I said, inexplicable. But the binging, to this day, I still haven't mastered. I've mastered a bit more than I had, but I still haven't mastered. And at this food festival, I went crazy and I ate everything, like literally everything. I was walking home, my stomach was so bloated, I felt so sick, and as soon as I got home, I ran upstairs and I made myself vomit. And I instantly felt better because I've got some of that out of my body. Which, the lesson I learned from that experience was like, wow, I can't believe I've done it again. And then I was like, hang on, but have you done it with the same intention? No, you've done it because you want to relieve yourself from feeling so physically uncomfortable. So how can we not do this again? Joel, the way we can stop yourself from doing this again is by not eating as much. So ever since then, I've been a bit more mindful of it, of like, actually, you could eat all this food, but what's that going to lead to? It's either going to lead to one of two things: weight gain or bulimia. So for me, that's been a really big motivation in not overeating. But as I said, it's something I still struggle with to this day. There are once in every few months maybe where I go mental and I just cannot stop eating. But luckily, I haven't purged ever since that 2018 date. So that for me is a big win, and I feel in a very strong place. Like, I don't feel very susceptible to it anymore. I feel like I am very good at keeping a control of it, especially because I have healthy outlets. Like, I love working out. I work out about 6 days a week. I do a variety of things, whether it's HIIT classes or whether it's weightlifting in the gym. I have a really good outlet. And now, if I have overeaten, I go and do some exercise instead, and that is so much healthier. And I really have exercise to thank for that. As I said, it's Mental Health Awareness Day that's coming up, and I just find it really interesting that different life events can lead people to have issues with their mental health in very different ways. Some people might have responded to my situation at university with anxiety or with depression or any of the other mental illnesses there are out there, and it just so happened that for me, that was bulimia. For someone else, they could be in the exact same scenario and it might be depression. But I just find it really fascinating. It's something that I am sort of investigating a lot more and I'm paying a lot more attention to. So, I don't know, if you can take anything from this video, if you are suffering from an eating disorder yourself, then please know that you're not alone, especially if you're a man. You're not alone, and it's not anything to be ashamed of. I get it. Even as I say that, I'm like, yes, it is. You're weird and you're gross. No one else suffers with this. It's just you. This horrible voice in my head says these things, and I'm sure it says it to you too. But that's not true, and I'm trying to take a step to break this stigma and be like, actually, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something that you need to sort out, and it's something that you need to work on and get help with. But it's not something to be ashamed of. You need to talk about it. Just tell someone, tell one person. That's what I started with. I can't even remember the first person I told. I think it was one of my friends from church. Told him, and then he referred me to someone, and then from there it just, you know, the more it came into the light, the less powerful it became, which I think is true with pretty much anything in life. The more you keep things private, the more they fester inside you and eat you up. So just tell someone. You just need to talk it out and sort of work through the issues, because I had no idea that mine was to do with control, because I was just like, oh, I don't know why, I guess just kind of like doing it. It kind of feels a bit like self-harm as well, like a bit of a punishment to myself, which at the time I just felt like I deserved it. I also thought it looked good for my body, so I was achieving my weight loss goals, but I had no idea that actually it could be to do with my life feeling out of control, and as a way of trying to regain control over my life, which makes so much sense. So investigate it further, because you will find that there are probably issues that you didn't even realize were there that are affecting your behavior now. But yeah, I don't really know how to sign off this video. As I said, I wanted to make this just to say hi to everyone and say I have suffered with bulimia. You're not alone, and don't be ashamed of it. What have you been eating? I take my eyes off you for like 2 seconds. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful in some way, then please give it a thumbs up. That way the YouTube algorithm might favor this video a little bit and then more people will be able to see it. And if this can help more people, then I'm all for it. So thank you for listening to me waffle on. I'm gonna leave some information down below about Mental Health Awareness Week and about eating disorder charities and things like that. So go check those out if you want to read more about it. And I'll speak to you soon. See you guys. I don't even know what this video is. Maybe I won't even publish this.